This is another video to follow up to the first one, that the most recent one that I did, where I was talking about like the violence in our music, and I wanna I guess I wanna be honest in saying that it's not that I don't listen to hardcore music, if not some of the hardest core music for a long time, and but I do think that it's good to be aware of things, like, because sometimes if you really like something, a lot of times you can't just drop it as much as you want to. The only thing that starts to move in the direction to get past of it is to create some awareness about it, because we really can't get outside of our own taste, our own likes and dislikes and habits, until we can witness ourselves. Like, I think, like, a lot of things, like, if you can see yourself thinking, that can give you that second before you say or do something that you have to pay for a long time. So I'm just trying to bring some awareness with these videos about what we're seeing, but it kind of is really reeling in your face, because, like, we've seen recent things about it's getting more and more drastic. Like, when you start seeing children being hurt, it doesn't get any more it doesn't get any more wrong than that. And so, but then also, like, with that, I actually was in one of the outlying areas, like, with what you would call, like, yuppie people. These are the most, they're doing their thing. They're young and they're sexy. They look good and they feel good. They look good and they feel good, and they look like they feel good and they feel like they look good, and yet they're listening to, like, this trap music, like, when I'm walking in there. And I've had different experiences enough to know that stuff is not cool when it's one thing to bump music, but it's a different thing to have that music bumped on you or bumped outside where you live, where people are thinking about you, and they're thinking about you, and they're bumping that. Is way different. And all I meant to say is just awareness can start to move past that. But what I wanted to say is that when we can recognize the way things are functioning, we can get a sense of what's going on, and that's the best way to deal with it. So if you look at like, a lot of our reality is becoming more, there's a, like, social reality is now breaking away from what we would call literal reality, where in a certain way you can't separate those anymore. But yet, in a certain sense, the social reality is more and more arbitrary, because, like, you're watching this video, right? And to the platform, your attention is valuable, but yet there's nothing actually exchanged there. So I'm leveling maybe insight, and I had to do living, and also my own learning to gain insight, and also to have the means to upload this. That would take work. And then for you to have the means to view it on what your device you're using, but also have your own understanding, that took work for you to gain your own understanding to appreciate what I'm saying. But yet, as we're speaking, it's kind of like arbitrary, where it's just numbers being exchanged, like ones and zeros. So there wasn't there wasn't directly real value. You can't say there's not value, but there's not like a physical value other than the devices. But yet, so what I'm saying is that, like, reality is getting more and more, it's getting more and more surreal. That's like that, like, crazy style of art. It's getting more and more surreal, more and more arbitrary, which is, like, arbitrary is like you can't say what's right and wrong, up and down, without like making assumptions. And then so it's getting faker. So, like, things are getting faker and faker. But then yet you need something to be real, to not be all the way fake, because if it's all the way fake, then it's worthless and it doesn't work. It doesn't pop like that. So you need to back it up with something real. Just like they used to back up the dollar with the gold currency. So now we're backing up the false reality with the murder, with the random murder, because it's this and that, and you can look like this and that, and you can do this and that, but it can pop out on your ass. And that's what's making it still be real, is that so it's arbitrary in how people are being assaulted. I'm not saying that violence is arbitrary, because there's a lot of violence has been going on for a long time, and there's a lot of there's dynamics in politics about that I can't speak to the real inside baseball of what's going on when different violent stuff happens. And I can't act like I'm beyond that or outside of that. But all I meant to say is that some of the more recent stuff that we see, like, some of it, there's an element of it where it's more so for attention. Maybe we could say violence has always been for attention, but it's even more so now, and it's dire and it's extreme. So what I meant to say is that in that dynamic, it seems like some of the violence is what's making our reality real. You know, you listen to like music, like a lot of people may not know, but there's actually a treasure trove of music from the doo-wop era. I think that was actually before the rock era as we know it. I think it had been the doo-wop era. And if you look up doo-wop channels on YouTube, you can get lost into it. And there were a generation of men. They would sit outside barbershops, and these four men would collaborate and conspire about falling in love with the same woman, singing the same woman's praise. I don't know that it gets any doper than that. I really don't. You know, I had a job a couple years ago, that actually where I'm going back, and I used to listen to doo-wop songs in the car on my break, and I had a long break, and it helped me frame like my experience of the job and of life at that point. And I was falling in love with everyone. I was like, it was so beautiful. Like people would walk by, like like the veteran drivers, all the people that I was experiencing. I was falling in love with everyone listening to that doo-wop. I was really in falling in love with love listening to doo-wop. And a lot of people might say like that's more that's more reckless than actually doing that crazy drill stuff. Would be just to fall in love with everyone. Maybe falling in love is more reckless, but yeah, it's somehow, I think it's realer and it's more beautiful. And those people were coming out of World War II. A lot of those people in those doo-wop eras, they were coming off of, or their family were coming off of, some of the most violent, heinous stuff imaginable, past imaginable, that we don't know nothing about. And yet that's not what they're on. They're on some love. They're on some let's fall in love stuff. Let's make some beautiful baby stuff. Maybe that has to do with how they had the baby boomer generation, and they were classy and they were lovers, and yet they're having a baby boom. And now we're on all this me, myself, and I, me against the world, me against you. Let's all not hold hands, and then we're having like lower birth rates and stuff. So all I meant to say is that the realest stuff is the realest stuff, and somehow now I think that we're struggling to have the realest stuff. So if you're not going to put in the work and be sincere to give us a rendition about what that was like when you fell in love, or what that was like when you lived something real, you know, the that life or death, flight or flight, go time, like that violent stuff, it does feel real because it commands your attention, both in the experience of experiencing something like that, but also like talking about it. Like nothing gets our attention peaked like some heinous stuff, especially some heinous stuff that wasn't anticipated or understood. But I just mean to say that I think that some of the violence in the music, where it's almost like a fetish, like writing poems and bodes to violence and mayhem, especially of the little guy, the most vulnerable, marginalized people are the ones experiencing the atrocities, I would say, in my experience. But that's because we don't have anything real to talk about, so we're just talking about mayhem. But all I meant to say is to each his own, and I'm not throwing shade at anyone for what you do. I said in another video, the greatest do what they do, so do what you do. But if you can find a way to be cool about it and to make it about life, and like so we can get better listening to it, I'm rocking with you all the way. I don't care how much gangster stuff you made. If you make something more gangster that's yet about love, or is about like real stuff, like coming together, because we are yet all one. Like people say like, oh, I went to high school with such and such in class of 2000, this and that. No, y'all weren't that many different people in that class. Y'all were all one person in that class. That your whole generation is one person. There's different all of life is one person, and each generation is yet different people within that one person. So we're all yet one person, and that's how heinous we're being when we're attacking one another. But I hope this can be of value to someone, and let's find a new gold standard.